All right, Algebra 1, another lesson on slope. This is lesson 2, more on slope practice. We're just going to practice more slope. This time, we're going to try and increase our understanding of slope and how it relates to different points and lines. Let's get started. So this should be a review for you. We're just going to find the slope from 2 points, okay? So what's the slope of the line that goes through these 2 points? Let's remember our slope formula is the change in y, so y1 minus y2, divided by the change in x, x1 minus x2. Now you'll notice that these 2 equations that I'm going to write will yield the same exact slope. It doesn't matter if I start from this point and go to that point, or start from this point and go to that point. What does matter, I'll be very clear here, is that you have the first point first, and then the second point second, or the second point goes first, and the first point goes second. These things, the x's and the y's, have to line up on top of each other, okay? If you don't do that, this is the most common mistake, is doing like y1 minus y2 and then writing x2 minus x1. This will not give you the slope for the line that goes through those 2 points, okay? I just want to be very clear. All right, it's important to know that for sure. Okay, so let's get on with the practice, shall we? So the first thing I always do is I label my points, x1, y1, the coordinates of each point, sorry, x2, y2. And then I'm going to plug it into the formula. So I'm going to get 8 minus 16 divided by 20 minus 9. That's negative 8 over 11. That's my slope. Can't simplify that anymore. Now we're going to step this up a bit, okay? So now I have 2 points, but you'll notice in one of my points, the y coordinate is missing. I don't know what it is. I've been given the slope, been given 1 point, and not the other way. So I'm still going to label it x1, y1, x2, and I'm going to call this y2 just so I know what I'm doing. And this is m. This is our slope. So I have my, I have my slope formula. So when I have a formula, I just plug in what I know. So I'm going to have 0. Let's do it right here. 0 minus y2 over 3 minus negative 11 equals 15 over 14. So first, let's kind of do the math, do any math we can. That's going to be, so we'll work our way down like this. So that's negative y2 over 14 equals 15 over 14. Here's a nifty trick. In a fraction, if I have this this is not what I wanted to do, people. If this denominator and this denominator are the same, and there's an equal sign here, that means these two must be equal, right? If they're both a 14th of something, and I have y2, negative y2, and 15, these are equal. So I'm going to rewrite my equation as negative y2 equals 15. I'm going to solve for y2, so I divide both sides by negative 1. Negative goes away, I get y2 equals 15. So my missing point, negative 15. Oops, almost made a mistake. So this is the number that would go here to make this slope true. All right, last sample problem. Remember, if you have questions, write them down in your notes and bring them to class. x1, y1, x2, y2. Here's my slope. We should have the slope formula committed to memory by now. If not, please write it down so you have it handy, maybe a note card or something. So here's my formulas. Here's what I know. Here is what I don't know. I'm going to plug in what I know. So I get negative 2 minus 10 over, what do we got here? x1 minus negative 11. That's going to give me negative 2/5. That's my slope. Slope formula, which is here. And then this is slope, right? Okay. Let's do the math. We're going to work our way down. Negative 2 minus 10 is negative 12. x1 minus a negative 11 is x1 plus 11. 2/5. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to multiply both sides by the denominators, both denominators. So I'm going to do x plus 11 times 5. X plus 11 times 5. What that does is this x plus 11 cancels out this denominator. And so I'm left with 5 times negative 12. This 5 cancels out that denominator and left with negative 2 times x1 plus 11. Do you see why it's important to distribute and also know how to work with fractions? 5 times negative 12 is negative 60. Negative 2 times x1 is negative 2 times x1. Negative 2 times positive 11 is negative 22. Now we need to get x by itself. So let's do some equation solving steps. So I add 22 to both sides to remove it from the right, to remove the negative 22 and move it over here. Negative 60 plus 22 is negative 38. Divide both sides by negative 2. Negative 2 divided by negative 2 is 1. Negative 38 divided by negative 2 is positive 19. And that is our answer for x1. So this becomes 19. And this is the slope of the line that goes through those 2 points. Okay, to recap, we're still using the same idea with slope, which is rise over run, which is the change in y over the change in x. And we find that by finding the difference in our y coordinates and dividing it by the difference in the x coordinates. And remember, what's important is that if I use y1 first on the top, x1 has to be first in the bottom, and then y2 over x2. Those are the orders. So that's what has to match. You know, you have your 1s and then your 2s, okay? The real idea behind this section is to kind of solidify the idea of slope and how it's related to the 2 points, right, between these 2 points. If I know my slope and I know some of the information about the points, I can find out the other information, okay? So your practice is going to be the lesson 2.1b, slope worksheet, more about slope or more slope, okay? Make sure if you're on pace, you should be doing this worksheet. All right, if you have any questions, you know how to get a hold of me. Good luck.